Capital punishment versus life in prison without parole. Ellis Wayne Felker was a suspect in a crime that happened in Georgia. There was a girl that disappeared and then later was found dead, and Ellis Felker was the suspect, and in 1996 he was convicted, and then in 2000 other evidence was found, and the DNA on the person who murdered the girl didn't match Ellis Felker's DNA, and the DNA was found inconclusive, which means he was not the one that killed the girl. So an innocent man was killed because of the death penalty. Life in prison without parole is better than capital punishment. And I care about this topic because it not only affects the accused, but it affects everyone around. Capital punishment is not a good option because it is costly, it is less efficient, it is unethical, and there is no evidence that it deters crime. The cost of capital punishment is extremely high, and essentially it's our tax dollars that pay for these death penalties. And according to a study done by the Indiana legislature that was referenced in an article by Oath, the death penalty is 10 times higher than life in prison without parole. And those fees are because there's so many attorneys and judges and appeals that happen when the inmates are on death row. Because there are so many appeals, the capital punishment is timely, and inmates can spend 10 to 20 years and even past 20 years on death row, and innocent people could be killed, such as the Ellis Felker case. So it's not efficient, and when people are in jail, they tend to learn from the lessons that they learn from a lesson from the mistakes they've made, and when you just kill someone, it's basically like it never happened to them. Capital punishment is also unethical because we are taught thou shalt not kill, but yet the court systems can say kill him or her because they killed someone else. So it's that eye-to-eye concept, or two wrongs don't make a right. So it's unethical to kill people. And it's also unfair, according to an article in a study done by Dieter. The ways of choosing who gets executed and who doesn't are unfair, and there's flaws in the system. For example, some people are mentally handicapped and yet they still get executed, but other people get out of the death penalty because they bring new evidence to the surface or admit to committing the crime. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, 88% of the leading criminologists in our country do not believe the death penalty deters homicide, and deterrence is when we punish people and as a threat to others so they don't commit the crimes as well. And there is no evidence that crime rates are lower because of the death penalty, according to Bayard and Rosenbaum. And also, the logic is that if we execute someone, it'll deter other people from committing crimes, but in reality, murders aren't usually planned, so the logic behind it doesn't apply to these circumstances, and in some cases, the execution may even cause crime rates to go higher. And there's this quote by George Bernard Shaw that says, "Murder and capital punishment are not opposites that cancel one another, but similars that breed their kind." So it's almost like fueling the fire for other murders. The fix is to ban capital punishment altogether, and currently there are 32 states with the death penalty, and in May, Maryland will be the 18th state to abolish capital punishment. And the good thing is that the death penalty is the use of the death penalty is declining in the state of Ohio. If the capital punishment is not abolished, then innocent people will continue to be killed, and thus far there's been 18 people that have been proved innocent after they've been killed because of DNA evidence, and that's according to the Innocent Project. And according to the American Civil Liberties Union of Northern California, no one sentenced to life in prison without parole has been released in California or any other state, and that ensures the safety of the community. Because some guilty people could be wrongly convicted and let go, and they get off what's called scotch-free. So there maybe wasn't enough evidence to prove them guilty, but they could essentially be guilty and then be let go, and that's not safe to any community. And if the death penalty continues, that's just a lot of time that attorneys spend on these death penalty cases. On average, they're spending 40.13 days on the death penalty cases and 16.79 on other cases, and that is 20 times more hours spent on death penalty cases that could be spent elsewhere. And also our tax dollars could be spent elsewhere as well. So what can you do to help abolish the death penalty? You could sign petitions, write letters to Congress, or join anti-death penalty groups such as the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, and the website listed. You could go to join that group, for example. Life in prison without parole is essentially better because it saves money, it saves time, it is more efficient, it is more ethical, and the people in prison are learning their lessons. Even though they're locked up, they have to live with the decisions they made. And if innocent and convicted wrongly, they still have a chance of living a normal life. Thank you for listening, and go out and do something to abolish the death penalty. Thank you.